Welcome to the Tea Show.
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 And this is To Tea Together. Welcome to the Tea Show.
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 And this is To Tea Together.
We talked a lot about everything like sustainable fashion, but something that's been coming up a lot is confidence. You know, as you guys are both people with a lot of confidence. I want to hear your perspective on, cultivating that confidence and how to be more confident in life.
You can pick this one up first, Virginia.
Okay. I was waiting because I know we both got something cool to say about this. Okay, yeah. I mean, Roxie and Will kind of spoke on my behalf. I identify as a confident person, not narcissistic, but just sure of myself and proud of my existence. Confidence for me is kind of like tying back to what I said earlier, accurately portraying yourself to the world in whatever form that is, and being okay with that and enjoying that and celebrating that. I've really been able to cultivate confidence over the past 2 years, especially coming to college. And I feel like a lot of people are able to say that, just, being able to step into yourself and being able to realize your interests and really hone in with that. I know that's been something for me with fashion creativity. I love to write. I'm very interested in writing and just human connectivity, whether that's through storytelling or, texts or books, anything like that. Music, I'm a huge music person. And I didn't really have that realization until coming to school. Something for me that's really made me feel more confident in myself is definitely just feeling strong in what I do, like strong opinions, being strong-minded, sure in myself, and like this might sound kind of cheap, but like physically strong as well. I'm very into fitness. I've really realized that after coming to school and seeing just how big of a component it's been on my mental health and truly my sanity as a whole. If I wasn't able to, I'm a very energetic person. If I'm not able to like go get a lift in during the day, I'm probably just chaotic because I have to channel that somewhere, or otherwise I will just seem slightly insane. And fitness has been a huge thing for me, being able to just hone in on that and just spending that time on yourself. I've told many friends before who have been hesitant about stepping into the gym or just spending time moving, that's one of the few things in society that you're able to be selfish about. Be selfish with your time to work on yourself.
So important.
I think you need to be selfish with your time building yourself up. And I've been able to find that through fitness, through the gym. And it's become a really big part of my life over these past years. I just recently, literally yesterday, got my personal training certification.
Let's go.
And I'm very excited about that. That's a really big deal for me. Anybody who knows me knows how much I love people. I love lifting weights. I love being active, and I love helping other people find that for themselves as well. So it's like what I said, being confident is just being strong in who you are, and everything that makes you up.
Absolutely. I think that confidence is one of those things that you definitely develop when you're in pursuit of your purpose. I feel like purpose is such a big component to life, and I feel like you really gotta find. I feel like everyone definitely has a purpose, and through passion and like just trying out new things and like going through the experiences of life, and through reflection, you can definitely seek that and find it. And in that process, I feel like as long as because in the entire process, you're being true to yourself. And when you're true to yourself and you cultivate awareness of who you are, I feel like confidence definitely comes with it.
Yeah, I literally could not agree more. To me, I feel like confidence is like the destination of a series of self-work, with the ground level being like work that's intrinsic to you. So like loving yourself, valuing yourself, trusting yourself and your opinions. That's like the very basis. And then the next steps are kind of putting that in context of society. Like, I kind of feel like confidence is something that only exists, like I said, like in the context of society, because it's like, an example would be like, if you've done all the first groundwork and you know who your true self is, you wake up in the morning, you put on an outfit, you look in the mirror, you're like, wow, this outfit looks so good. I feel so good about myself. I love myself, whatever. And then you can go outside and be like, oh, what if everyone thinks my outfit is weird? Or what if they don't like me?
That's
So
so
then you've
true.
done the groundwork, but you haven't done the next step, which is putting that in context. So confidence is like the final exam kind of to doing all those steps. And so the second step, once you're in the context of society, I think is kind of working on trusting yourself and your insecurities. And the same way with confidence, insecurities only exist when you're in the context of society, when you're dealing with being perceived.
That's so true.
If you were just like born and you lived your entire life without ever talking to or seeing another person, you would never have any insecurities because you would have no one to compare yourself to. There would be no expectations of how you're supposed to act or look or behave. So once you've got all the groundwork, the internal groundwork in, that only matters when you're alone, like loving yourself and trusting yourself and finding out who you are,
Right.
then you have to learn how to bring that out into the world. And then once you're able to do that, that's when you're confident.
That's
gotta
peak
feel like-
existence.
Yeah, exactly. And there's kind of that shortcut around being comfortable with being perceived that some people try to advocate for confidence. I kind of disagree with, where they're like, and I've used this, I've tried to use this before, where you're like, okay, I'm self-conscious, but probably nobody's looking at me, like nobody is perceiving me. So it's fine, I should be confident. And that kind of ends up backfiring because, well, one, people do perceive you. And someone might not like what you're wearing.
It's the worst.
Like, someone might not, like, it doesn't matter. The harder way to go through it, but the only sure way to confidence is to be like, okay, I'm out in the world, I'm being perceived, and everyone around me could literally hate how I look or hate how I act. But I love how I look and how I act. I have that trust in myself, and I'm not compromising being true to myself for them, because it's so much more important that I'm comfortable with myself than if they're comfortable with me. And then that's like the final level. So it's like comfortable with yourself,
Boss
comfortable
level.
with yourself in society.
Yeah.
And then the final exam is like, okay, now you're confident, I guess.
I
Wow.
couldn't have said that any better. That was awesome. That was awesome. You portrayed that and educated. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I think in some form I kind of said that, but the way that you just set that up, like to be like digestible to the public, that was epic.
Yeah, the way you put that out was amazing.
Yeah, I just feel like I
Thank
just
you.
got a whole seminar, like a self-help seminar. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think it's such an important thing, like I feel like this is also related to mental health and wellness and, cultivating a good mindset.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like having nowadays with social media and everything, and also with the start of COVID, there's been a lot of like anxiety, mental health problem has been rising a lot. And keeping a positive mindset, especially how do you keep a positive mindset, I feel like is really, really important to discuss.
Yeah.
I might go on another spiel, I guess.
I know, Roxie, I know you have a hot take on
I
this.
have a hot take on positivity.
Hit me with it.
I think toxic positivity is just as negative as toxic negativity.
It's so true. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Yes.
live in an imperfect world. There are going to be negative and positive stimuli that are going to give us negative and positive emotions. So if you just think, okay, I have to be positive all the time, which is kind of how our society says you're supposed to behave, you're not getting rid of negative stimuli. They're still there. You're just pushing down negative emotions. And you're going to end up with all kinds of like blockages, and you're not going to be able to digest your emotions. I think like kind of a way to think about it is the Hindus, and they have the idea of like chakras. And like, I maybe don't understand them the best, but it's like a kind of a good metaphor or belief if you believe in it. But it's like you have these energy centers and you have to allow energy to pass through them. And if you don't process them, then they get blocked. And now no
Or your
energy,
chakra's gonna be messed up.
yeah, no feelings come through. And part of that is just like living presently. It's feeling emotions when they come to you, feeling them fully, and then allowing them to pass. And if they're negative emotions, you feel them and you allow them to pass through you. That way you don't linger on them. Positive emotions as well. It's kind of like there's that like thought experiment, you know, like the purple elephant thing where scientists ask people not to think of a purple elephant, and then they record the amount of times they thought of a purple elephant after they asked them that, and it literally like
Right.
went like this.
Yeah.
If you try to repress negative emotions, like they don't go anywhere. They are there, and you're gonna think about them.
It's gonna backfire.
So really, it's actually Virginia gave me this book. It's called The Untethered Soul, and one of the metaphors they use I absolutely love, and it kind of talks about comparing like emotions to watching cars going by. So like imagine yourself like on the side of a road, and you're watching these cars go by, and the cars are your feelings, and you make note of them while you're there, and then when they pass, they're gone. But like, let's say you see the same make and model, like your ex's car, like an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend or something. And then you get stuck on that car. You're thinking about that car, and you can try to repress the feeling, but you're not going to enjoy any other car that goes by or really feel it, because in the back of your head, you're thinking about that car. So it's really just about living presently, allowing negative things to make you feel bad, because they will. But you have to like be comfortable feeling bad, not close yourself down to protect yourself, because you're just going to give yourself more issues. So yeah, I think the idea that you have to be positive all the time can end up being really hurtful.
Right. Like you
I
can't.
was
You
just
can't.
saying, I totally agree.
Yeah. I definitely. So you can't fake. What you're saying is you can't fake being positive. You gotta embrace. If you're feeling, you know, if something's bringing you down, where you're feeling, if you have like negative feeling towards certain aspects or emotions, you gotta embrace it, and then
You have to feel it to let it go. If you repress it, it's not gone. It's just like repressed. You may not be feeling it, but it's in you. You have to feel a negative emotion to let it like pass out of you, if that makes sense. You can't just like put it off and say, okay, I'm being positive because I'm not thinking about this thing.
Yeah.
You have to like you just have to deal with it. I don't know. It's like me and Will were in an anthropology class together. We were both anthropology majors, but one thing it kind of a real life comparison you can make is there's like a gendered component to how we experience emotions. Like in our society, it's more acceptable for women to accept negative emotion or to express negative emotions and feel them. And men, they're more so taught to repress it. So you see this constant problem in relationships where a woman, like the girlfriend or whatever, will bring up something that she's upset about, and the guy will just start like listing off like solutions or something instead of like empathizing, when the girl, like, she just wanted to talk about her feelings or let that emotion out. But it goes to show the difference from when you allow yourself to feel bad versus when you just kind of
Try to skip over it.
It creates a lot of problems.
wow.
Yeah.
I
agree
don't know. What's
completely,
your anthropology take on that?
On like men suppressing their feelings, and then women sorry, what was it?
or just like our culture's view of like emotions and stuff.
I feel like there's been a lot, like lately there's been a lot of content creators coming out and, you know, books about positive mindset and like trying to achieve a certain mindset fast or make money fast, you know, all getting
do it now.
Yeah, reaching
Yeah.
success right away. I feel like a lot of that stuff is bull crap.
Yeah.
It's like nothing in life comes easy, you know. You can't. A lot of things takes patience and time, and I feel like same with like self-development and developing your character, finding out who you are, requires a lot of consistent effort in doing things, and through experiences then you will learn. There's nothing that, because a lot of things are like, if you buy this book or do this activity, or just know you got to have this routine, you got to have this morning routine, and then you're going to be happy.
Or if you don't, you're going to fail, like stuff like that.
But my take is that like I feel like everyone is different, and I feel like that's what I learned through, you know, anthropology, is that people are different. Everyone's lifestyle and cultures have different ways of doing things. People value their time differently. You know, they have different perspectives. So I think it's all good as long as you're doing what is true to yourself and you're allowing yourself some patience with what you do.
So true.
I agree completely. Everything both Roxy was saying about you gotta allow stuff you got to feel what you feel. Like you can't just,
Right.
hide that. And you talking about how everyone's time and own individual introspective journey is literally to each their own. Like you can't replicate the feelings of getting there and the work needed to get there. It's so deeply individually humane. And I mean I agree completely. You can always be working towards a positive version of yourself. I fully believe that being an optimistic person in a moderation, definitely not blindly so, is a way to go through life. But at the same time, like you gotta allow those negative feelings. And I mean, I've definitely been the blindly optimistic person in my life. I know when I first started like my introspective kind of spiritual journey when I was about 17, it was before my senior year of high school. I read the book that Roxie was talking about. I read The Untethered Soul and it was awesome. I read a ton of books about religion, spirituality, self-help, how to be like best version of you, how to reach that part of your life, how to like be that fully. And I definitely had there was a time in my life where being positive ultimately backfired because I didn't allow myself to feel the negative. So when I did have negative emotions, I was like, damn it, I'm doing something wrong. Oh my God, like I've backtracked, like I've totally lost progress, but that's not it. Everyone is human. Everyone is flawed in some form, whether you want to like it, like take that for what you will. And you just have to accept that life is the good and the bad. You got the yin and the yang, you got the dark and the light and everything. And every experience, every person. And I don't know. I was like what Roxy and both of you said it perfectly. You got to let that in, but you can constantly work towards a better version of yourself.
Right.
Right. There are like, even though you don't want to be toxically positive to where you're ignoring negatives, there are strategies to, rather than ignore negatives, you boost the positives. So like me and Will, I think in Virginia, like, I don't know, we do like, I really am into tarot cards and stuff. And I always kind of explain how like the world we live in is created by our perceptions. And we actually, to a certain degree, can control how the world is for us by controlling how we perceive it. So some strategies for increasing positivity without negating negativity is practicing gratitude. And I know Virginia like is really big on that as well. But one thing that you can do, like something really easy that I've started doing, is every morning, like if you write down a list of like 5 things you're grateful for, what you're doing is you're not ignoring negative things, but you're focusing more attention on positive things. Now your perception of the world is more positive because you're like perceiving more positive things, I guess, or giving them more focus than the negative things without ignoring the negative things. And there's science behind it too. The more you practice gratitude, the more you strengthen those neural pathways, the more gracious of a person you are and the more positive of a person you are.
Right.
So it's not just like, I'm just going on like some hippie rant or whatever. It's like there's been studies on practicing gratitude and how it strengthens those neural pathways. But there are strategies to be more positive without ignoring the negative. Like you have to experience everything, but you can control to what degree you give something.
Like
power.
allow that. Yeah. No, definitely going off of that, your time and attention, like people say this all the time, like time is the most precious thing, but I don't think time and attention, truly, those two things, people say all the time, like those are the most precious things you have, and people are like, oh yeah, whatever, but they don't fully grasp the importance of both those aspects, that being your time and that being your attention. Things matter only when you give attention to them. And like what Roxy just said, that those things, those positive things, that she does a gratitude list with, I'm so happy she started doing that, because she literally was texting me a few weeks ago like, Virginia, my life is like literally changed. Not that she was ever in a bad place, but like you can attest that like just starting that, like you feel infinitely better, and it's because you're giving your attention and allowing the time for that. And I'm really big on gratitude. I know my friends probably want to slap me in the face a lot of times. So I'm like, oh yeah, that situation sucked, but it allowed for like these things to happen. And like back to what I was saying, just like you focus what you give your energy to. Life is all about energy, that being defined by your time and attention. And just you can choose what matters to you. Truly, you can choose what matters to you.
Right.
And with that attention, you choose how to spend your time. And I think once people realize that they have control over that, life becomes so much more fun. Life is more fun when you realize that you're happy to be here and you can choose like what you make of it. And that might seem like yes, I understand that like there are some circumstances, there are some contexts that you can't take yourself out of, but a lot of it truly is just what you give your attention to and how you choose, like what Roxy was saying, perception.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
once people grasp that, life becomes infinitely better.
Another thing it helps with is there are things you take for granted every day. Like
Mm.
it might seem like there are an equal amount of bad things to good things, but it's because sometimes the good things have always existed constant in our life that we don't see them as like, here are the bad things.
Mm-hmm.
There's all this baseline good that we constantly have, but we never acknowledge it because we're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, there's the extra good stuff, but to us, it feels like maybe it's equal. So like one example I have is when I started doing my gratitude list, I write stuff about my family. And that's a great example because family is something you've had your whole life. I'm used to the fact that my mom will come into my room and bring me fruits, or like my mom will, ask about how I'm doing or that kind of thing because it's been happening my whole life. But when I was forced to pick apart all the good things in my life, even the ones I've already had, I noticed there was such an overwhelming amount of positives that I just wasn't, like Virginia said, paying attention to. So it literally helped me divert my attention to discover all these good things that I didn't realize were on my side.
Right.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Gratitude is honestly powerful. Like
So true.
whenever my mind is cluttered or there's a problem that I'm facing that I just can't think properly. I also sometimes I don't do a gratitude list every day, but when I'm feeling like down or cluttered and I need to think clearly, I just kind of list out the things that I'm grateful for currently and all the stuff that I really appreciate. And then it's amazing how like it opens you up after, like the way you think just kind of changes.
Yeah. And like notice how all of what we've talked about doesn't include repressing bad things. It's just giving more power to good things. Like I think that is the key to being more positive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of like, it took me so long to realize that, like, I was like, oh, how do you like be more positive? How do you do this? Like, do you ignore the bad stuff? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until like I realized like I just labeled it and like kind of like defined it as it's your time and it's your intention, time and attention, and what you give intention to. That's what makes it up. That's what makes a mindset up, whether it's good or bad. Those are defining characteristics, and you can choose what to do with that.
Yeah. Wow. That was amazing.
Dr. Lamb's gonna be so proud of us.
Absolutely. That was amazing, Virginia, Roxy. It was so great to have a conversation with you guys and like get really in depth. And I think there was, personally for me, it was definitely a valuable conversation. And hopefully,
I
I've always
learned a lot from you guys.
Yeah, for real. And you guys, I mean, I've always said all along, you guys are, I'm not only some friends of mine, but equally so role models. So everything you guys say, I'm definitely listening, actively listening. I'm mentally jotting stuff down, and you guys inspire me a lot just to further just be myself and, just be proud of that. So
and there's just one last thing I want to say before we end this podcast. And it's that it's regarding tea culture and creativity.
Yeah.
I think that, Roxy and I are both, we both run the World Tea Association at Wake. And, our goal is like to show that, tea is not limited to tea bags. The world of tea is way beyond tea bags. There's people from different cultures. Just take Roxy and I, for example. She's accustomed to drinking Persian tea at home, and I do Gongfu tea, like Chinese tea. And these are all loose leaf tea, true origin tea. And, the goal of, World Tea Association is to show that aspect, but also to express tea as an art. There's so much creativity that you can use with tea and be creative with tea, from being how intentional you are. Well, first of all, it's all intentionality, but with tea, the setting that it's drunk in, the tea wares, the cups, the atmosphere that you set, all of this, the pouring, it's
Mhm.
it's definitely all in art, you know. And I just want to say, you know, World Tea Association is all about that. It's culture,
Yeah.
it's art, it's creativity, it's about conversation and enrichment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like
and
I have
yeah.
learned so much about Chinese culture just through drinking tea with Will. And I know he's learned about Persian culture from me as well. And the other cool thing is like this entire conversation we had today, the three of us have a conversation like this like every time we sit down to have
Yeah.
tea.
Oh,
Like
yeah. And I
that's
like, I'd
so
love,
amazing.
yeah, no, and I'd love to add, like, I wasn't exposed to tea culture in the same sense that like Will and Roxy have. Am I in World Tea Association and absolutely love it? Yes. And I've gotten, and what I love, what drew me in is, first of all, my friends who are obviously really passionate about that. I will always support my friends' passions, but it's the human connectivity and the culture side and just learning about other people's experiences that really drew me in. And that is what and tea is so new to me. Every time I have tea with Roxy and Will, I definitely learn about a new leaf, new pour, cups, like all kinds of stuff. So I love learning about just new things. And it's been so cool as someone who's been, and I guess what I would class myself as very new to tea.
Mhm.
And it's been so much fun to learn about just the whole process of brews and everything that goes into it. And simultaneously, I'm learning about people, their culture, their upbringing, their experiences, and having conversation with people who are just really interesting. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
And you know, to tea together, that's the goal of the podcast too. It's all
exactly. I definitely think we did everything needed for that.
yeah, you know, it's this is a prime example of what tea is about. You know, with the podcast, we're all brewing our own teas, different types of teas, but it's what's bringing us together and connecting us to these meaningful conversation that's worth having.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
thank you guys so much.
I
Thank
can't
you so
thank you
much,
enough for
Will.
having me. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Will.
Bye. Thanks, Will.